Okay. Hello, everybody. Is it okay do you understand? All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Marco Binninger. I will present today a topic which focus on analyzing of site managers and project managers. I wrote this paper together with Janusz Louis from BMW, with Johannes Schneider, he's a student of, or was a student of mine, and our prof, Sherwin Hakshnu. I think everybody knows the situation on site, so a lot of stress, and on the other hand, the dream of the construction site, a stressless environment, but everybody knows this doesn't really fit together, how we act right now on site. I have seen a lot of construction sites, and I would say in around 85 to 95%, we have more this situation. So a lot of stress, a lot of overwork, and we have a lot of problems also with the site managers and the project managers. And you mentioned it already in the introduction. This session is about people. So the question was, what's the problem on site and how we can help them to improve the situation? Because, sorry for that. Because a site manager and construction manager and project manager play a really important role on site. We have a lot of problems with people in the construction sector because there's a higher rate of staff turnover, a lot of sick leave days. This is from a study from 1997, a German study. What we did, we observed site managers to figure out what's the problem on site. And what we wanted to do, a quantitative analysis of where are the problems inside their processes. So we observed 6 site managers, in total 55 hours, so it was 1 day per site manager. You can already see, so they worked over 8 hours per day. We observed them for 1 day. So what we did is just we listed down, you start a task, what did you do in this task, when did the task end, which kind of process it was. And what we did after the observation, we did also interview with every site manager, just to figure out if the day which we measured, was it a normal day, was it an extreme day in the sense that there were a lot of disruptions, was it okay how we observed him. This just rounded up the whole observation day. From the site managers, the construction managers, so you can see we tried to variance the people which we observed. So they had work experience between 3 and 25 years, number of projects. I think the guy with the lowest number of projects has already managed to do 3 projects, and the highest one was over 25. Total project volume was starting from 4.5 million up to over 100 million. So you see there's a variation in the people who we observed. And also most of them came from the turnkey sector, from residential building. The results, what we figure out in this observation, first of all, the site manager changed their task every 8 minutes and 3 seconds. You can see it, we observed different site managers and in different conditions, but it's almost the same. So the average is around 8 minutes. They have 15 interruptions in an 8-hour day. So that means every few minutes somebody is coming in and really interrupt them. The reasons for the interruptions are, most of them, almost 50% are just calls. So somebody calls, just have started a task, but I will take the call. Employees, internal employees, but also external employees. Somebody comes, knocks on the door, and just walks inside and asks me some questions. So what came out, if I put it together, there are frequent changes in their tasks. Long working days, so they worked over 9 hours per day. If they do some tasks, sometimes they really get really deep inside these tasks and totally lose the idea of what the task was for. And what they also have, frequent disruptions. What came out of the study, as I put it together, first of all, we didn't see any structure. So for sure, some parts of the day and some persons had already a structure, but in total we haven't seen any structure. The site manager does not generate directly value. He's more or less his task is to coordinate only work, not to do the work. He's most of the time just reacting, not acting. That means also there's no structure in his action because he doesn't have time to plan it. There are a lot of disruptions. He switches a lot of the times per day just the task. And if he switched the task after 8 minutes, only in 1/3 of the task he came back to this task. So he switched the task because of interruption. 2/3 of the task he didn't continue. He just let them there. And most of the time, all this leads to firefighting. So we do not plan. We are in a hamster wheel. We just come always to the point that there is chaos on site and we start to firefight. Out of this, out of the conclusion, out of the findings of this research or observation, we tried to structure the day because we figured out that the most reasons are that there is a missing structure in his daily work. We tried to make a kind of draft how a structured work of a site managers can look like. What we wanted to do, we wanted to create his value in the sense that he has more time for coordinate things, more time to look for quality, and not always has to react on the situations. We want to integrate more structure in the way that we put work blocks inside, so that he really says, okay, today I would like to do these 2 work blocks. We also standardized the work blocks. I will tell you later what it means. We also saw in the beginning of a workday, they have a kind of routine. Most of them started to first check the emails, look at the mobile phone, if they haven't looked before already at home on the mobile phone, look at the mobile phone, walk over through the building, have a look what happens since yesterday evening, is there a problem already, and talks with the people. So this we can already standardize. In the way that also the employees on site know what happens. So where is the site manager? When do I have the time to talk with him? And what we want to achieve, we just want to reduce the disruptions per day, because you can imagine if you have a disruption if you change the task every 8 minutes based on an interruption or disruption, you need at least 1 or 2 hours to get back on track. 1 or 2 minutes to get back on track, and you need also 1 or 2 minutes to close the task in the way that you just document it and put it away or send the email out. So if you see it like this, if you have 8 minutes time to do the task, I would say almost 50% of this is already waste to get into the process and to get out of the process. So what was our idea? So we built work blocks of 1.5 hours, and just say, okay, this 1.5 hours, I would like to do this module. A module means we have modules for concentration, we have modules for communication, and in these modules we have modi. Modi means, for example, if I want to do a concentration block, I would like, the mobile phone should be switched off, the phone should be switched off, and there should be no disruption, maybe close the door. Yeah? Sometimes, I come later to this point again, it's not possible, but I think if you want, most of the time it is possible. For example, if you're on a bigger site and most of the sites are, most of the sites there is more than 1 site manager, and there is a problem, then the other person can also be in a kind of work block where he is communicating and overtaking the task. The conclusion and outlook, we did a field study. We observed 6 site managers for 55 hours. What came out was a structured workday. I have to highlight, this is what came out is really this. We were inspired by other industries because most of the other industries already have a kind of standardized workday. And standardized workday doesn't mean that I have a list of 100 tasks and I have to start with task 1 and go down to task 100. It just means give them a framework that they can act in this framework. So use this 1.5 work block, and just do whatever you want to do, but do it in the way that you can do it on a professional level. And for sure, there will be some challenges in the implementation. If I already gave this results to our site managers, they were not so happy because they were thinking that we just kind of put them together in a kind of, how should I call it, in a kind of, that we more control them, but it's not a controlling, it's just the framework and the base to create more value, in my opinion. I already tried it out in the way that I'm not on the site, so I don't have so many disruptions, but I already tried it out. What really helps me was this morning routine, and also the end routine. In the end of the day, I already planned the next day, and I tried to figure out, or I tested already how it works with these work blocks. For sure, it was not easy to just put the theory into practice, but you can. I figured out that for me it helps just to say, okay, if I want to do something, I want to do 1.5 hours this. So I close the door, I shut my phone, I close the emails, and I just work on this. And we already have some site managers who are starting to adopt this idea. All right, that's from my side. Thank you very much.